Welcome everybody to another episode of Geek Dad Reviews. I'm Brian.
And I'm Ryan.
And tonight we have a mega episode for you. Usually we just review one thing. Tonight we have 3 movies. Not 1, not 2, but 3 DC animated movies that we are going to be tackling. Look at those beautiful things. Batman, Death in the Family, Deathstroke. That one, look at that. Look how pretty that is. Deathstroke, Kinghts and Dragons. Very violent. And finally, Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Yeah, fancy.
And they're all in lovely Blu-ray and digital.
Yeah.
And Superman doc 4K Ultra.
And as a guy who has a 4K TV, let me tell you, it looks magnificent. All right.
So I just got a new 4K and I'm going to re-watch it on the new TV I just came in the mail a couple days ago. So
I highly recommend that. But Ryan, for our mega event, which one of these animated gems from DC would you like to review first?
Well, I think the first one let's just get Batman.
Well, it is the newest one. Batman, Death in the Family. This actually is an interesting one because I did not quite know what I was getting. So, the review is going to be a little bit different because I watched the digital version and Ryan watched the Blu-ray version. And the only reason why we mention that is because this is one of the first, at least to my knowledge, movies that DC have done where it's a kind of your choose your own adventure. So, this movie is actually a whole bunch of shorts. I did not realize that when I watched it. And so I watched the digital version. I got a 20-minute story, and then a new story started popping up, and I'm like, what is happening? It's actually 5 short stories.
Yeah, 5 shorts. But they're not all Batman shorts. They're all different shorts.
The first one is a Batman short, and if you have the digital version, basically it's just a kind of retelling of the 2010 Red Hood movie. I won't spoil who Batman's retelling the story to because it's actually kind of a cool scene. But it is a retelling of that story. Now, if you have the DVD version, it's a retelling where you can choose your own adventure. So, Ryan, I don't know, would you like to talk a little bit more about that since that's what you watched?
It was. I mean, it was okay. I mean, I tried to put back. I just tried to pick the worst situation.
So I got a question. Since I didn't get to see it, so what is it like a pop-up menu pop, and then you can kind of choose where you want to go,
like,
or
on the bottom, it's got like the typical ones that they've been doing on some recent stuff. And you got like the timer. You gotta pick
which one you want. Well, the cool thing is I did hear that on the DVD version there's 7 different endings. I will say on the digital version, if you go to the bonus features, they actually put 4 of the different endings, so you're not completely left out in the digital realm if you choose to buy this on digital versus the Blu-ray. But you definitely don't get to choose it. So basically, all the 4 endings pick up at the same spot. Well, actually, I take it back. They show the entire 20 minutes because the whole story is only about 20 minutes. So they show the entire 20 minutes, but they choose a different ending for you, and so then you kind of walk your way through that. But I don't know. It was. My problem that I had with it is that maybe your version's a little bit different, but for me, without any choosing your own adventure, it's basically just a recap of a movie I'd already seen, and it was 20 minutes. There was really nothing new, and even the extended version, even the extra like the 4 different endings, most of them were kind of restructuring Jason Todd to take over different villains' storylines. So it wasn't really much that was original. There was one that wasn't too bad. And like I said, we're not going to spoil any of these for anybody if you want to watch them. But some of them are kind of just cool concepts. But they just, I don't know. I felt like it really fell flat for me.
Yeah. And for me, though, the thing was that I had read, I thought Death in the Family, like, oh, okay. But I didn't see the very top. It says... it's a series of shorts, and so when I was like, man, I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm breezing right through this movie.
Yeah, and it goes quick.
25 minutes into it, it's like, oh, and now it's over.
Well,
and I was like,
the credits go, and I'm like, did I miss something?
When I had to grab the thing, I'm like, what the hell? No, because I didn't read the back cover or anything like that.
No.
That's in the family. I didn't read anything else. And
Well,
then
we should have known too, because it had a different intro than DC movies usually have. Like, it cuts to a comic book store, and then like there's a spinning rack of comics, and it lands on different comics, and so that's how you actually know what your next short's going to be. So the first one was a Death in the Family, and then to your point, the credits are going. I'm like, well, there's a lot more movie left, so what's next? And then we get, I don't know, we got a whole bunch of weird. We got a Sergeant Rock, which is like was like a World War II comic apparently. I don't think I've ever read it.
Would have had like the what's it? The old movie monsters, you know, the Frankenstein, werewolf, wolf, and then the vampire guy.
And this is the short.
And they're like killer.
Well, and here's the thing: Death in the Family is fairly violent. I mean, Joker beats Robin with a crowbar pretty violently, so I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend for children anyway. But the Sergeant Rock short is when you realize this is absolutely not for kids.
Yeah,
like people are getting their faces bitten off. It's like
Frankenstein, like Frankenstein crushed a dude's head and like ripped another dude in half.
Yeah, it was, but the problem was like I didn't know these characters at all, and they didn't do a very good job of setting up this story. Some of the other shorts did a better job of kind of explaining themselves a little bit better, so you kind of knew, at least you could follow the story along a little bit better. This one, I had no idea what was happening. You just drop into this world that I haven't read the comics, and it was really strange. And then we got a Adam Strange one that was pretty good. That one at least did a good job of kind of explaining what was happening.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, why he's stuck on this planet, and you know what happened, like over the years trying to.
I will say that I feel like somebody watched Starship Troopers, because these like bug things come out of nowhere and they just rip people to shreds.
Right. God, you know what? Now that you say that, it totally feels like Starship Trooper, like those things were Starship Trooper bugs.
Yeah, it was strange. And then we got, so then you get, and after that you get the Phantom Stranger, another one I do not know, but the biggest thing was it was in the 70s and people were smoking weed and like having weird orgies.
Yeah.
In a cartoon.
It's like a 1 minute like trippy like acid like mood thing of people like.
Yeah, and I don't know who the Phantom Stranger is, and there's a weird like Satan worshipping demon dude. It was really strange, but then it led us to, so at this point I'm kind of watching him loosely. I'm like, all right, I gotta watch this. I mean, I'm not enjoying him, but at the same time I'm just like, what is this? And then they ended on one that I did not think I was, because I've read The Sandman, so I'm familiar with the character of Death, but it can be very moody and very sad, and I was like, I don't know if I really want to watch this one, but I was like, well, it's one left, and I think it was the longest. It was almost 30 minutes long, and it's called Death, and it's about if anybody doesn't know, in the Sandman universe, all the, like, Sandman he's the embodiment of sleep, right? And then they have Lucifer, and then they have Death, and Death is his sister, and played by a girl character. Well, it's a female character. And this is called Death. It's about her. And it was incredible. Like, it was like one of the best 30 minutes. Like, I couldn't take my eyes off it. It looked gorgeous. The story was great. The music was so just like I mean, I just was in like I was just enveloped in this story. It was just, and it was beautiful at the end.
I was the story. And like the guy struggles with his inner demons, and being represented by like these actual demon things that would pop up, and they were like kind of scary. They're like creepy looking, and the whole time I'm like, so is he like, does he have like powers or something? And these demons are like gonna make him, like be death, and so I was trying to figure out like what these things were, but. And then, you expect Death to be, like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah,
and,
no, this is so much.
She has this kind of like this heartfelt.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. And it's almost like, what's great about it is it's the whole thing, or the whole point of this is that death isn't something to be feared. That, death is inevitable, and death takes you where you need to go, but death can mean something at the same time. Like, it was.
His book of destiny was written before he was even born.
Yeah, I mean, it was like life is beautiful, but death can be too, and like it was. it's just, I don't know. It was a really powerful, I thought, 30-minute like clip, and that ending, man, I was just like, oh my god, that was incredible. I just was sitting there like, holy shit, I did not expect this. It was so good.
I liked a whole movie just on that. That character.
It was by far my favorite thing on that disc. And I personally think it's probably worth buying just for that.
Yeah.
But
so if you had to pick 2 of the shorts to make into full films, which ones would it be?
I love Batman, but I mean, unless they can give me a Batman story I haven't already seen, I don't want to see it. I would probably have the new stuff I saw. Obviously, I'd love to see more on the Sandman universe, with Death and Lucifer and Sandman and all those characters. I think that would be really cool. And I'd probably like to see some more Doctor Strange. I think Doctor Adam Strange. I think, that universe is rich enough. Like, he's such a cosmic jumping character that we don't really know that much about. In general, he's never really been he's huge in the comic books, but he's never been that big in the movies or animated shows. So I would like to see those 2 fleshed out more.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Those were my 2 favorite shorts. I'd probably say Death 1, Adam Strange 2. They were both fun. And they easily topped off the other ones were. Not that the other ones were bad, but they were just, these ones stood up above them.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as this goes, if you are expecting a really in-depth hour-and-a-half Batman movie, this is not really that. Is it worth buying? I guess it just depends. Like, if you're a casual DC animation fan and you just really love Batman, this is probably not going to scratch that itch for you. But if you like good animation and you're really interested in seeing some different stories, yeah, I'd say pick it up. It's worth it. I definitely probably get the Blu-ray, so you have the option to do the Choose Your Own Adventure, so you can get the full experience. The digital version isn't terrible, but obviously they really put their energy into the physical copies. So.
Yeah, I would agree. I say it's more for the people that, like, if you know someone who watches a lot of the DC animated stuff, just you get it for them.
But if nothing else, when this comes on,
introducing you to new characters that you would really not get much of a chance to see on screen. So
yeah, but either way, I would highly recommend finding a way to watch, the Death short. I mean, it's worth buying just so you can watch that. But if not, at least when it comes out on like HBO or something, watch it.
And like Brian said, that one's half an hour long in itself. So it's not like those 10-minute shorts that get Emmy nominations and stuff like that.
It's really good. So there you go. All right, next up, unless you got something else you want to say about Batman: Death in the Family. Yeah. Except for my last thing I want to say about that is I always forget how messed up that storyline is. Like, God Almighty!
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the Joker.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat Robin to an inch of his life. And if anybody doesn't know why they did the Choose Your Own Adventure or Robin died, is because back in the 80s they decided to put it up to the voters, to the fans, whether Robin would live or die. So they wrote a comic based on Robin dying and one on him living, and they assumed people would choose him to live. Well, everybody voted in. They said to kill Robin. So there you go. That's why this is a Choose Your Own Adventure.
Just to prove that everybody just wants something bad to happen to Robin.
Yeah.
So
everybody hates Robin, except for Nightwing. Everybody loves Nightwing. All right. Next up, we have Deathstroke, Kinghts and Dragons.
And in the back it says, Master Assassin.
Yeah.
Assassin. Vengeful father. This should be just for us. We're dads. We know what it's like to be mad when you're kids.
Yes. I mean, and I too am a trained assassin.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to say about this is do not, under any circumstances, let your children watch this movie.
No. Do not.
I think it's the most violent DC animated movie we've watched yet.
I think it's right up there with Justice League Dark.
Yeah, that one was pretty bad. And honestly, the movie we just reviewed, that
and like I told Brian,
the Adam Strange part was pretty brutal.
I feel like they just wanted to test like how much blood animation they could do.
Dude, Deathstroke stabs a dude, throws him up in the air, and then you see him like Ginzu slice, and then chunks of this person just keep falling down on the ground. It is
and it's just like
intense.
And then his sword's all covered in blood.
There's so many headshots, so many people getting their arms. I won't say which character, but there's a character that fights Deathstroke, and Deathstroke shoves his blade in his arm, in his hand, and it goes out his elbow, and then he flicks it, and the whole arm gets cut off. And you're like, oh my god. Yeah, it is bloody. It is real bloody.
It's bloody and violent, and I think that's all the movie really has going for it.
There's quite a bit. There's quite a bit of animated butts. Some naked animated butts in this. Deathstroke. It was an interesting cartoon. Like,
well, it's like the Deathstroke that we know, and then it's like they try to put like, I mean, like, yeah, we know that he has kids, and the kids have abilities and stuff like that, but it seems like they try a little extra hard to make him feel like you should have, some passion for it, where he's trying.
First of all, if you're expecting dragons and knights, that's not what the story's about. The title's in reference to a book that he reads to his son early on in the animated
boy.
Yeah, so if I was a little confused by the title. I was like, oh, is this going to be like a what if story? But no, it's just it's basically
got a suit of armor on.
Yeah, it's basically a Deathstroke origin story to an extent that tells about him and his family. For the most part, a lot of it's fairly close to the comics a little bit. I mean, it's very influenced by the comic books. My only thing is like all the stuff I've ever heard about Deathstroke is he's a bad dude. And in this, the hard part that I have in this is that he's a bad dude, but he's also a good guy a lot of times. I don't think the filmmakers really know what they want him to be. They try and give him the kind of the Punisher go where he's like, yeah, he's an anti-hero, but he's really just a villain.
Yeah, that's very true. They did try to make him more of a Punisher anti-hero than the villain that he really is. I mean, he's in the Suicide Squad.
And part of the reason why he has the drama with his family that he does is because of the fact that he is a bad person, and his family has to come to terms with that.
He cheated on his wife, and then he abandoned that.
Yeah, and then he abandons them, and his kids hate him because he's a heartless assassin. At least in the most of the stories, and this one they try and make him a little more of a good person, but at the same time they kind of stick to this, without spoiling anything, they kind of stick to the same beats that they do in the comic books, where it's like, I don't know. I mean, it was enjoyable. The animation is really good as always. It looks a lot like the older, like the DC 52, the new 52 that they did. The story's cool. The characters, the story's pretty good. The characters are all right. Like I said, it's really bloody, but it just, I don't know. There was something about it that just, I guess I just didn't. Deathstroke is not a character that you care about, like you can really care about. So it really made everything feel like, well, whatever.
Yeah, it didn't click with me. This at least story wise, it didn't click with me.
Yeah.
It wasn't a terrible movie, but it wasn't what I was looking for.
Well, yeah, because like the Punisher. So the Punisher had something happen to him that turned him into a killing machine, right? Well, Deathstroke has made these choices to be a killing machine, right? So at no point, even though he doesn't maybe kill children or doesn't do this, they try and give him a moral code. You never buy him as a hero. So mostly it's just a bunch of people you don't really like all doing bad things to each other.
Yeah. That's true. They didn't make it like, oh, he got forced into this world. Like no, he chose it. This was 100% his choice, and why shouldn't
I really feel like DC's trying to give Deathstroke the Harley Quinn treatment, where you take a character that's clearly a villain and then you try and turn them into a hero because they look cool.
Yeah.
So, and people like him. I don't know. I just
think it worked.
I don't think. Yeah, exactly. I don't think it worked completely. I didn't hate the animation. And once again, if you're a fan of DC animation, it looks great. And the narrative, it's easy to follow. It's not a complicated story, and it's not a bad story. It's just not one that I was particularly invested in. So, if you like Deathstroke and you love violent cartoons, you might really like this. It's like I said, it's beautiful like all the other DC animated movies are. So, if you're collecting them all, this is definitely one you should probably put on your shelf. But for me, I'd say it's probably a pass unless you really love Deathstroke.
Yeah, I would pass on it as well. And with just if you like having the DC animated movies that look like the 52 ones that were really well drawn, this is right up your alley. The voice work is great.
Yeah.
It's just maybe in a different time, this storyline might click with me, but with how what's right now, it wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah,
so.
Same here. All right, moving on to our final movie of the night, my favorite one. I guess that's a little spoiler, a little of a spoiler. Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Now, a little bit about this movie is this is a retelling of Superman's origin story. Now, don't let that turn you away. I know most of us are tired of origins and retelling. This one actually is done in a cool new way, and it has a pretty cool new animation style that they're doing, and I really enjoyed it a lot, actually.
Yeah. Well, and just so you guys know, I don't know if this is starting off the new DC universe, but this is the first one from the batch that they sent me that says the DC universe movie. So, is this how they're going to be doing the new DC universe?
I hope so.
I hope so. Because this was a great start. If this is how they're going to be starting it, I thought this was a good way to go.
Yeah, and the animation
villain, the villain's great. Parasite was a nice new twist.
And they don't do it the way you think they're going to do it. They update the look on all the characters. The characters are using cell phones and tablets versus pens and pencils.
Younger, not as
I also like how they didn't make Superman like 6'4", 290, just jacked, ripped brick shithouse. He's don't get me wrong, he's still like in good shape, and he's definitely more of the Christopher Reeves type Superman, right? Which is, which you don't need to be if you're if you're an alien from space with powers. You don't need to be also, listen, I like Henry Cavill, so Henry, if you're watching, I'm not.
He's super jacked with the.
You keep doing your bench presses, but yeah, I really enjoyed the new voices. Who we get here? So like you said, I don't know if this is a new movie, but they got some new Darren Criss. I don't know who that is, but they got Zachary Quinto. To play Lex Luthor, who I really liked the new Lex Luthor. I really like the new voice work that they got done. So I like the new animation style. I know we were talking before we started recording, how you kind of liked how like all the characters were kind of outlined, which almost gave it like a comic book look. It looked like somebody had actually inked them.
And what I mean by outline is that a lot of the characters, like it's they had like their normal outline, but it's like a thicker, bolder black that kind of goes around, and it's not like doesn't go around them like all completely, so it doesn't like completely stand out. But they do have like a lot more bolder black that goes around, and just it makes the characters pop a little more. And
you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember the animated storybooks that they were trying to do for a little while that never quite caught on, where they would have like pages that would kind of move, and then people would do the voiceovers? It kind of looks like that, but it's actually animated.
Oh. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it.
And so I remember when I first saw the first like screenshots of this movie that they were releasing, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this. But yeah, I really like the animation style. It's something visually very different. It almost feels more like the golden age of comics. And me and you both really enjoyed the stylized New 52, the wave of movies that they did on this last go around. They looked great, but I'm excited to see a new animation style maybe take over, and they look really good. The costumes look great. The art was cool. The new character redesigns, they weren't dramatic with the exception of the Parasite, but they were just enough that made it kind of new and fresh.
Yeah, I hope if this is the new start of the DC universe, I hope they stick with this style. Yeah. I'd like to see. I want to see like what Batman, looks like with it, and people like Aquaman. Yeah. I hope they do more of a Justice League Aquaman, not like a the super jacked up Aquaman that we got.
Well, and what's cool about this too is we won't say who because we don't ruin it for anybody, but there are quite a few different characters in this that you wouldn't think would be in a Superman origin story. And it's not like origin where you see him land and raised by the Kents. It's mostly just him. He just kind of moved to Metropolis. It's imagine the ending of Smallville, or like the ending of Smallville. That's kind of what this is. He's wearing a costume where he has like a hat, like a beanie on with some goggles when he's flying around Superman. He still doesn't even have his costume yet, but he's just kind of emerging as a superhero Metropolis. I really enjoyed the sequence when Lois Lane, between Lois and Lex, that we have a Lex Luthor who's very smart but also a very corrupt kind of slapsticky businessman, which I kind of enjoyed that take on Lex.
Yeah, I like the take on Lex. And he gets jailed. He's in prison right at the very beginning, so it's not like this is not the Lex Luthor to get like this long run of doing all this stuff, and
he's already president.
To push it aside, like he's jailed right in the very beginning.
I did enjoy, and this isn't a spoiler. This happens early on, but I did enjoy watching. He's the president. Lex Luthor is president of the United States. I enjoyed this universe where the justice system works swift and well because, like, a story breaks right there and they slap him in cuffs immediately. And I'm like, oh, if only. Wouldn't that be great?
And let's not forget Brian, the real hero of the show, is this guy right here.
Oh, man. That's right. Lobo. Lobo is in this, and Lobo is in it in all his glorious form.
Lobo does not care.
Lobo does not care. It's great, and one of the things I did like about it too is, I don't mind a good rated R animated movie. I'm not squeamish with blood, or sometimes the story needs to be an adult story. I remember watching Spawn on HBO. Like, I would never want to see that as PG. But at the same time, the DC movies have been becoming increasing more bloody and violent and adult, where I can't sit down and enjoy them with my kids. One of the things I really loved about this is my youngest, who's 8. Saw me watching the movie about 20 minutes into it. She's like, "Ooh, what's this? I like this Superman." And she's like, "Okay." And so she sat down. She's like, "Oh, okay. That's new Lois." So this, and she sat and watched almost the entire thing with me, and she really, really liked it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of refreshing to be able to share that with my kids again, because for so long, all these DC movies, I have to block them from our Vudu service because I don't want my kids watching them because they're super violent.
Yeah, that's true. The DC animated movies have been trending more toward an adult audience, which I guess I can understand is that it's not like the Marvel movie. They don't have that buy-in with the
younger kids,
against the people that are going to be watching the DC animated movies are going to be adults, and just because they're all direct to video. So I think that's probably why we're going to see a lot of these movies are not going to be as kid-friendly. But if they stay with this formula like that we got for Superman, and like I said, maybe we can start getting our kids to buy into it, and they'll start.
I would say it seemed like a solid mix between the DC and the new 52 movies, and if you mixed it with the old school Superman animated series, like you put those together and mix them out and spit it out. This is kind of what you got. It's not exactly like G, but it's not R, and it was fresh and new. I don't know. I just really aesthetically, I like the visuals. I like the story a lot. It wasn't just Superman, punching people. It was about accepting people who are different. You never know what people are going through. Just because you think you know something about somebody doesn't mean you actually do know them.
Yes.
And sometimes the people who are most alien to us are really the most human, and sometimes the people who are most human can be the most alien to you. There was a good story underneath this, and I think that's what drove yet another origin story. Is it never felt like an origin story, and you felt like you were going towards something. There was some meaning to this whole story, and I really liked it.
And they did kind of establish something like they talked about how there's already a Batman in Gotham.
Yeah.
So they've already said that Batman's already out doing his thing.
Well, no, it was his mom. Remember Martha? When she makes the suit, she's like, "Listen, I copied this, and then she goes, I did the suit and the S, and then I just copied that Bat fella. I really like him."
Yeah. said it.
I just copied the look of that bat fell over in Gotham. I just really like him. It's really good. So yeah, they did a lot of work. This movie actually got a lot done. They did a ton of world building. They reintroduced a new style of animation, introduced new characters, and gave us a pretty good story that I was interested in. Like I said, my daughter sat there for the entire time, didn't move, and she was able to follow along and really enjoyed it as well. So it was
it gets emotionally invested, and
Definitely.
that's all we can really ask for. I think at this time.
It moves along pretty brisk. It's a little under an hour and a half, so it's not too long. And it's like I said, I really enjoyed it. It's one of the better origins that I've seen in a while. So I mean, if this is the reboot of the new universe, I'm really excited for the rest of the universe.
Yeah, I am as well. I had a lot of fun watching it, and I'm gonna try and see if I can get my kids to watch it with me on a rewatch.
Yeah, definitely do. Watching that 4K TV. Like I said, the 4K version is gorgeous. It looks so nice.
The main reason why I want to do it, because I just got my brand new TV.
Yeah, it's great.
So
it looks flawless. So, all right, last movie of the night, Superman: Man of Tomorrow. Ryan and I are in agreement. You guys everyone should check it out. Buy it, watch it with your kids, enjoy a little bit of nostalgia, but an updated version of your old-fashioned nostalgia.
Yes.
So there you go. All right. Well, anything else, Ryan, before we get out of here?
No, I just want to thank Warner Brothers Animation for sending these movies to us, especially during COVID, giving us some extra stuff to do.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate
You're the best. Bat-like. All right, well, everyone, thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay awesome, my friends.
And stay nerdy, everyone.